Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to pursue this question of the Space Force, but I understand we're having a full hearing next week, so I'll defer. Put me down as skeptical that an organizational change costing $500 million a year is going to change our capacity. So be prepared to help me through that question, and I look forward to that discussion next week. Secretary Wilson, everybody's praised you today. I plan to do something about it. You better watch the National Defense Bill. I'm thinking of an amendment prohibiting your retirement. So you better have your legislative staff scour that document as it goes forward. You have done a sensational job. And I think a perfect example was a comment you made a few minutes ago about the amount of time you've cut out of the procurement process. That's a big deal. Procurement has two problems historically in the Defense Department. One is money, cost, and the other is time. And you have done something that had needed doing a long time, and I really want to thank you for that. Second general comment, and I understand neither of you had anything to do with this, but I just don't like this OCO for base business. 25% of your budget is OCO, and 3/4 of the OCO is OCO for base, which is a non sequitur. If it's base, it's base. If it's OCO, it's OCO. And again, I realize that this is something that was handed down from other parts of the government, but it's not honest government. It's not honest to the Congress or the people of America. This isn't OCO. Let's get real about what these numbers are. General, the light attack experiment, which is to use existing platforms, try to develop a new counter-violent extremist. I understand the A-10 is, I heard yesterday from people in the maintenance business that they're hard to maintain now. They're just wearing out. How's this experiment going? Where does it stand?
Sure. Let me tell you first that light attack, A-10, two completely separate issues here. Light attack is not designed to, nor will it ever replace the A-10, and our intent is to fly the A-10 as one of the 4 weapon systems that we need in the 2030s.
Because we've been hearing for the last 3 or 4 years about getting rid of the A-10. Are we now back to maintaining the A-10?
We are, through the 2030s, the
So
A-10.
let's move now to the light attack.
So to understand light attack and where we're going, and I will tell you that I can't think of a better example of how we use the authorities you gave us to accelerate our understanding about a particular weapon system. You go back to the National Defense Strategy, the second line of effort is about building allies and partners. That's what the light attack is all about. And the strategy in the National Defense Strategy is to drive violent extremism down to the point where it can be handled inside the borders of governed nations. And this is a global challenge from the Philippines to Nigeria. So the question we asked ourselves was, how do we build a platform sensor weapon combination and an intelligence gathering and a network that will allow more allies and partners to join us in the fight against violent extremism? And so we went out.
So this would be an aircraft that could be utilized by our allies.
Absolutely. That's been the primary focus. It remains our focus. So again, we went out 5 months after I signed an initial declaration of an experiment. When it went out, companies came in. We did an experiment at Holloman Air Force Base. We went on to a second experiment. What you'll see in our budget is money to procure 3 of each kind of airplane that we've been experimenting with. We're going to put a detachment at Nellis, where we do our tactical level training. We're going to put a detachment at Hurlburt, where we do special ops. We're going to invite allies and partners in. And the most exciting part of this experiment that we would not have been able to do without your authorities is we have built a coalition-friendly intelligence gathering and information sharing network that we don't have to tell anybody, no, you can't have this information. And it's platform agnostic. And so by owning these airplanes now as prototypes, we can modify. We're going to bring industry in. We're going to bring allies and partners in. And we're trying to solve the math equation that currently exists in North Africa. 1,000 Americans plus 4,000 French enables 35,000 fighters that are taking on violent extremism across North Africa. This is the air component contribution to the National Defense Strategy to do just that.
And I take it from your comments that you feel like this has been a worthwhile experiment and that we're making some real progress.
Yes, sir. Not only has it been worthwhile, but I will tell you that the companies that have been with us from the beginning have been spectacular. And I think there's no better example I can give you of how we used your intent for these authorities to advance. We're not even 2 years.
You mean you're saying for the record that we did something right?
Yes, sir, and we jumped on it.
Thank you. I'm out of time, but a question for the record. I'm very interested in maintenance levels and readiness levels of aircraft and increasing those levels to, if not duplicate, but approach commercial availabilities. For the record, if you could give me some thoughts on where we are, progress made, perhaps graph where we are. You understand the nature of the question. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator King. Senator Kane.